That new intro music still gets me every time.
Oh, yeah.
It's throwing me off a little bit, but I like it. I like it. All righty. Well, good to see everybody tonight. We're going to be talking about. I don't know if you saw the title of this stream, Journeyman, but we're going to be talking about why Andor season 2 looks so exciting. I don't know if you feel the same way about it that I do, but I'm really, really excited for Andor season 2. Way more excited than I thought I was going to be. And I give that mostly to, I mean, the first trailer, we talked about it last week, was pretty good. I mean, I think the music choice, the soundtrack choice was a little bit, uh, I wouldn't say
Oh,
controversial, but got people talking. But you and I, we were getting on to watch Daredevil on what was, I guess, Tuesday, and we were like, hey, there's an Andor special look. And then sure enough, everybody starts talking about it all over social media. And I got to tell you, that special look was pretty dang awesome, in my opinion. So
it
that's what I
should have been
wanted
the
to talk
trailer.
about. It should have been the trailer. I mean, and it is kind of a trailer, right? I mean, it should have been the trailer, though, I think is what you're saying. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I wanted to first talk about tonight is kind of everything going on in that trailer. Unfortunately, if you're new here, we don't have the technology to just share the screen and dissect it that way. So we'll kind of just talk about it. I'm sure everybody at this point has actually seen the trailer anyway. But we'll kind of, I actually have it pulled up on a separate screen here, and we can just kind of work through it, even though people at home can't see it. But just kind of, right off the bat, what are your overall thoughts? Have you watched it again since we watched it on Tuesday?
No, I haven't watched it. I need to go back and do that, though. I know we're, well, we'll get into it, but we're getting that massacre or whatever in the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was from the special look or not, but we're getting that. And then a couple of other things. But my overall thoughts are I think the way in which this season is going to be handled is we know it's going to be different. And so I'm kind of banking on how it comes out to really kind of help it and move it along rather than how it was last time. And we were kind of just talking about this like we're kind of tired of the episodic feel of Star Wars and Marvel, to be frank
Mm-hmm.
with you. And like, um, we just want kind of movie style formation, kind of like Netflix style, just have everything come out at once, let us watch the content and kind of move on. And
Yeah.
and if you're going to do episodic stuff, you need to have it be good and wanting more each week.
Yeah. Make us want to come back, which, yeah, you and I were talking off air, I guess you could say, just a little while ago. And I think that's one of the big things that these Disney Plus shows have not really mastered yet. And that's the ability to kind of leave you off on a good, solid cliffhanger. Um, I would even say, I mean, the best cliffhanger that comes to mind for a Star Wars Disney Plus show, um, well, really two that come to mind. The first one was cool, but not like great, and that was Vader. Our first look of Vader and Kenobi, when you
Yeah.
see him in the back to tank, and then it cuts to the credits. That was
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool. But I will say a really, really great cliffhanger in a Star Wars show um, is Boba Fett in The Mandalorian season 1. Uh, or no, sorry, The Mandalorian season 2, episode 1, where we see him at the very end in the sunset of Tatooine, and
Mm.
there he is. It's Tamara Morrison, and that was a really excellent cliffhanger. And I don't think you have to have every show end in a cliffhanger, but they certainly have got to master that a little bit more if they're going to release week to week. So, um, yeah, I think it's going to be really fun. We're basically getting 4 Andor movies within the span of a month, which is really, really cool. And so I think that is going to set us up for some success with the show. At least I hope that it does. So, in talking about the special look, uh, and if you're just joining us, like I said, unfortunately, we don't have the technology yet to pull up the trailer on screen. Hopefully, we'll get there one day. So, stick around. Maybe one day we'll be able to do that. But at the beginning of the first the special look, you get the emergency broadcast. It's literally an emergency broadcast. What looks to be in Luthen's antique shop, emergency broadcast. If you can hear me, and then it talks about Imperial ships coming in, and then we get a lot of scenes with the Gorman massacre, like you were talking about, Journeyman, and that is going to be absolutely, I think, fascinating to see. And I say that because and once we get some more people in the chat, we may have to jump back to this. There's one particular shot. I don't know if you remember it. If you maybe you can pull it up on your phone so we can kind of look at the same thing and talk about it. And
Yeah,
anybody who's on here can pull it up on their screen too. I'm looking at 22 seconds on the special look,
on the
and
special look. Okay.
this is really interesting to me. Let me know when you get there. But it's basically Andor holding a sniper style rifle. And it looks like he's literally about to assassinate somebody. Like, I think we're going full blown political thriller with this show. And if you get there, he's like in a hotel room. It looks like he's on the Gorman, and he's about to take somebody out. We got Star Wars Order here in the chat. Says hello there to begin with. And then he says, "Where is he? You said he would be here." I was talking to him in a separate in the podcast video, the comment section. He was saying Travis needs to start his own YouTube channel, and I was like, "Well, come tell him yourself. He's usually on the stream, so he'll probably he actually usually shows up a little bit after we get started Star Wars Order. So, thank you for being here. Stick with us, and I'm sure he'll pop in here pretty soon. Also, if you're if you're not in the Discord, you could get there's a link to the Discord in the description. Travis is in the Discord. You can go tag him and tell him to get on here. That's funny. But anyway, 22 seconds. I don't know if you're there, but yeah, he's holding a sniper style blaster, and it looks like he's about to just take somebody out. Now, the interesting thing is, and I'm jumping right into this, Journeyman. I'm just jumping right into all the speculation.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for the ad. So
okay, you're so basically the thought here is. Now, I don't know exactly what he says in Rogue One, but in Rogue One, the movie, Cassian Andor says something along the lines of, "I've done a lot of bad things for the rebellion," or something like that. I don't know if you remember that. I remember it briefly.
I feel like I remember that. Yes.
He says, "I've done some terrible things for the rebellion in the name of the rebellion," or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's working with Luthen Rael. Now, I know you haven't really gone back and watched. You haven't gone back and watched Andor season 1, but in Andor season 1, Luthen is kind of he's a good person in terms of he's working for the rebellion, but he has some shady tactics, I would say.
Yes.
So I think what's happening here, and I've seen some other people talk about this, is I'm wondering if Cassian is going to be involved in starting the Gorman massacre and in making the Gorman massacre occur. Like, he's going to be responsible for, not directly responsible for killing innocent civilians, because we think that's where this is going. In fact, I think we see it in the special look. A bunch of innocent Gormans are taken out by stormtroopers and Imperial TIE fighters, it looks like. What if he is the one to instigate it, to basically get it going so that it can give a bad look for the rebellion? What are your thoughts on that? And would you like that?
First of all, just since I'm a history buff, it kind of sounds like the Boston Tea Party, like what happened with that, like how it started. You had that big crowd and someone shot, and it kind of started the revolutionary.
Not the Boston Tea Party, the Boston Massacre.
No. Boston Massacre. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's what it kind of sounds like. And I just from a history buff kind of standpoint, I like that. I think it's really cool that they're trying to not tie it in, but like reference it. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
For Star Wars though, I kind of like it. I kind of like the shadiness of it. We picture, I think it's good to paint both sides kind of in their own bad light in a way, because no matter what you want to say, while there is good, there's objectively good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there are things that, you know, both sides do that is probably wrong and probably not great, and pushes people to their limits, pushes people to their morals. And I think that's where you get really interesting storylines and all that. So from that standpoint, I kind of like it. I feel like it'll give us a good plot point for Cassian's character and like what he feels from it. And just as a political drama, I think it's interesting,
Yeah.
what this could be.
Yeah. Well, and obviously this is not confirmed. This is just speculation. It looks
Sure.
like it's the same planet, but I think that would take the show to a really interesting new level. And I say a new level because if you'll remember, I haven't got to this place in my Andor rewatch yet. But if you remember I believe it takes place over 3 episodes, maybe 2 episodes, or maybe it's only 1 episode. I don't know. The heist episode, so where they're on that planet, and then you see the like the meteor shower. I can't remember exactly what they call it. I'll have to go back and watch it. If you remember it, what they're doing there, that's kind of Cassian's first mission when he leaves the planet Ferrix with Luthen to kind of join the rebellion, so to speak. And he's not really sure if he wants to join the rebellion yet, but that's kind of his first mission. Luthen's like, we need money, and the money is to help fund the rebellion. However, the money that they steal from the Empire Luthen has 2 motives behind it. Yes, he's wanting Cassian to go and the team to go steal money for the rebellion, to help fund the rebellion and get those efforts started. But he also does it because he's wanting the Empire to overreact. He's wanting the Empire to do things that portrays them in a negative light, so he can point to them and be like, hey, they're doing, like, look what they're doing. Like, we can't have this. We can't stand for this. So it's within the boundaries, so to speak. Once again, taking it to a new level where Luthen could, in fact, be could be responsible with the help of Cassian for instigating the Gorman massacre and orchestrating it to point the finger at the Empire to say, look what they just did.
Well, and I think they're just trying to bring to the light like what the Empire's true nature is. Everyone just kind of, after the fall of the prequels, kind of just Palpatine over the years just kind of made everyone kind of forget kind of the prequels and like who are the good and bad guys, and they just instantly flipped. And I think from the good side perspective, all they're trying to do is show the Empire and Palpatine's true character, true nature.
Yeah.
True like intentions. Yeah. Is it shady? Could it be shady if they go this route? Yeah. But it's also trying to show the nature of it.
Well, and I don't know if you were able to pull up that shot at 22 seconds, but
yeah.
It's just, it looks really, really it looks intense. But then you even see, let's see, skipping ahead here in the trailer, I think we can kind of see him getting ready to take some type of shot at 57 seconds. It looks like it may be the same. Let me see. I'm looking here. It looks like it's the same blaster, but he's gearing up to take that shot. I don't know. Yeah. He's not in the same clothing, but yeah, he's not in the same clothing, but it looks like he's gearing up to take another shot at somebody. So that's interesting too. Very interesting. Now, another thing to go off of the I've done some terrible things in the name of the rebellion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember in Rogue One, Jyn Erso, who's the main, the female character in Rogue One, her father,
Mm-hmm.
Galen Erso, was responsible for helping build the Death Star. Okay. Now, I don't know if you remember, but I can't remember what the planet is called, but we see Cassian and Jyn go to a planet and it's storming. Okay, so it's like
Yep.
storming, and we see him get on a perch with a sniper blaster and put Galen Erso in his sights. I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
remember this, but
Yes.
he doesn't end up taking the shot. He's supposed to kill him, or he wants to kill him. He may be supposed to kill him too, but he's gearing up to take the shot to kill Jyn Erso's dad, Galen, on this Imperial
Mm-hmm.
base, and he doesn't take the shot. So could that be in kind of like a direct call of like I've been down this route before, where we actually see him take the shot and cause something in Andor season 2, and then it's a callback to in Rogue One where we see him get ready to do the same thing, but this time he's like, I can't go through with it this time.
Yeah. It's going to be something to look forward to. What his intention? Because I feel like Galen's intentions is wanting to show, or Luthen, sorry, Luthen is wanting to show like uh the character of you know the the Empire, but I feel like a part of me feels like he's in it for himself as well. Like he
Mm-hmm.
is a sort of spy, and I'm like, what is your true intentions as well? Like you're trying to play the rebellion side, but I feel like you have something else that we're not seeing. He still seems like he's trying to do the rebellion side, but I'm like, there still seems something off about him. I'm still
So
not.
okay, that
I'm
leads
still
me to
not like caught up with him yet, or like in favor of him.
well, we don't know his backstory. Um, and he certainly is, once again, kind of a sketchy character because in Andor season 1, if you remember from the recap we watched last week, we actually see him. Uh, he basically, after Cassian kind of like escapes, after he does the heist mission and everything, Luthen sees Cassian as a loose end, and he sends someone to go kill him. Luthen's
Right.
like, go kill him. I mean, he is very much. I mean, it's not like that he's a bad person, but he certainly has. He's not like a good guy, I would say. Like you said, he's a
Yeah.
spy. Now, what's really interesting is I believe we saw this in season 1 already, but if you remember, in his antique shop, we actually see Jedi and Sith holocrons. Like he has Jedi and Sith
Yes.
holocrons in his antique shop. I don't know if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
We also see that he has Gungan shields. We also see that he has, and I don't know if you still have it pulled up, but if you go to 9 seconds in the special look, you will see in Luthen's antique shop, he also has Padme Amidala's, like it's like a crown or like a headdress thing, or maybe not Padme specifically, but something that the Naboo Queen would wear. Okay, so if you pull it up, it's the first item that you can kind of see in the top right hand corner. Okay. Um,
Got to turn up my brightness for this.
okay. Yeah. So you'll see it. It's gold, top right hand corner. If it doesn't look familiar, you could pull up a picture of Padme as Queen of Naboo from the Phantom Menace, and
Yeah.
that is what she's wearing. So you can pull that up. Now I say that all to say, last week we talked about, I'm making a video about this right now. Last week we talked about the fact that Naboo, a couple years ago, probably almost 2 years now, was rumored to be in this show. Okay,
Uh,
so he has Gungan shields. He has a bunch of Naboo-like artifacts. Okay,
mm-hmm.
Naboo was rumored to be in this show at some point. What if Luthen is from Naboo And maybe just to go a little bit farther, probably not exactly true, but this is going off your point. I promise I'll get back to your point of maybe he has other intentions. But let's say he's from Naboo and he has connections with, Padme's efforts somehow. There was a group
Mm-hmm.
of people on Naboo, one of which was Sabe, who was one of Padme's handmaidens that we see in the movies. After
Mm-hmm.
Padme's death, you get this group called the Amidalans, okay? Now, the Amidalans, just to kind of sum it all up, a lot takes place in like the comics, and Vader comes into Naboo, and there's all these things, there's battles and whatnot. But to sum it all up, the Amidalans were particularly interested in trying to find out what happened to Padme Amidala, who killed Padme. And they finally are able to figure out that it was Vader who was the one who killed Padme. And the Amidalans, this group of kind of like a resistance rebellion type force, was primarily concerned with finding Vader and killing Vader. Now, I say all that to say, it was kind of like I said, the Amidalans were a rebellion like force, kind of covert. What if Luthen also has ties to this Amidalan group who is trying to find and kill Vader? That could be interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Do we think that will happen? Probably not, but it certainly is a possibility, considering we've seen all types of Naboo-like connections and rumors that we will see Naboo in this upcoming season. So,
I
uh,
I hope if we do see Naboo, I hope we
mhm.
see her resting place, like her actual resting place.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Like I want a shot of that. If you're going to Naboo, you kind of have to show us that. I feel like I I I want to believe that we should be able to have it. I thought we should have had it in that Clone Wars episode with Ahsoka,
Yeah,
but or no, not Clone Wars. It was Tales of the Jedi.
Tales of the Jedi. Yeah,
But
Tales of the Jedi.
still, I think if you're going to Naboo, I think you gotta show her final resting place.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, and it will be it's possible. So, that's just a theory coupled in with the fact that Luthen has his own what seems like could be kind of his own agenda, not only just doing this. Now to play off of that, we do see the second line or the next line in the special look, because I'm looking at it right now. It's Luthen saying, "We are not who we were when we started this," or "We are not who we are when we started." I added this, so
Mm.
it is we are seeing probably some type of kind of tonal shift in how they're approaching the rebellion, and we're going to kind of have to see firsthand behind the scenes what it takes to kind of get a rebellion started. And it seems like it may not be pretty, but it's all in the name of the rebellion and the resistance against the empire. So it uh, it seems like it's fantastic writing. And to kind of just talk about the politics of it all, I'm going back. I've already said it, but I'm going back and watching Andor season 1. I'm on episode 3 right now, trying to get through it, and it is really good. And I think what I'm really starting to appreciate the show is it's not the type of show that you can just turn on. And I think this is why I struggled initially, because I was getting up at 3 a.m. to watch it. It's not the type of show that you can just turn on and just have on in the background and or just kind of just sit there for purely amusement. You really got to be invested in it and really be invested to understand what is actually taking place, because the writing is so in depth. You can't really just take it at face value. You really kind of have to digest it. And so I'm appreciating that now, going back on the rewatch, and I think it's going to make season 2 really enjoyable, especially when it comes to the politics. But what are your thoughts?
Like I said, I think season 2, I'm more excited for it than season 1 after watching season 1. Like the way that the trailers have been coming out Granted, the music choice in that first trailer, or for the trailer, not the special look, but I think it is going to be a different tonal shift. I think it is going to be. I'm more invested in it, I would say, even though I didn't really like the first season. I'm wanting to know how this shift in the storylines of like doing basically 4 arcs over 4 years basically work out for the story, and like,
Yeah.
does it piece it together? How do you wrap it up? Is it entertaining? Of course, like, would I want to go back and rewatch it type of thing? I think it will be better. That's my prediction for it. But I'm still really excited to see it.
Sure. Yeah. No, all good, all good. We got Travis. There he is. I told you Star Wars Order, he'd be back. How's it going, Travis? He says, if we're going back to Naboo, we need to see those butt potatoes he could runs around on. I think you're talking about Attack of the Clones. Yeah, I don't know. I like, the rumors are that they will go to Naboo. I think they were filming at Hever Castle, but apparently it was very, very brief. So unless they utilize the volume, most likely, I don't know how much of Naboo we would actually see, if we're going to see it at all. Right now, it's just speculation and theories. But, I mean, is it a coincidence that we're seeing, Padme's kind of headdress crown thing, in addition to all the other artifacts that he has? I don't know. I think that there's a compelling argument to make that Luthen has some type of connection with Naboo. And it doesn't have to be Luthen that goes to Naboo. We could certainly see Mon Mothma. I know we talked about that last week as well, going to Naboo. I think that could be really, really cool. Now that we have Travis in here, let's...
I love democracy. I love the Republic.
We have our contributor senator here. Let's see. Padme's parents and sister were cut from episode 2, and it'd be interesting if we saw them now. Yeah. I mean, we talked about it last week, but it would be really cool to see, Mon Mothma or Luthen trying to dig up some dirt on Palpatine, or maybe getting some information about Padme or what she was up to from her sister parents. That could be really, really cool, and a good way to bring Padme in, because you really don't get a lot of... I mean, Padme was such an instrumental character for the rebellion, and Star Wars in general, right? I mean, kind of was the catalyst for... I say catalyst, had a lot to do with Anakin's turn to the dark side and the kind of formation of Vader, right? And so... really important character to Star Wars, and I would love to see. It'd be great to bring back Natalie Portman for a future project, but even just kind of mentioning her, I guess they kind of mentioned her a little bit in Kenobi, but in terms of the rebellion, it would be nice for her to get some credit for what's going on with that. So fun stuff.
It'd be interesting what Travis said, like seeing at least the sister part, because if you want to say like she was part of the Amidala group that's trying to go and search for Vader, like, I think she would want answers, and I think they could probably give it to her. And if she joined and like started with the rebellion, I think that'd kind of be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, after having your sister die and no one's telling you anything, I think everyone would probably go a little bit crazy on like, give me the answers. I just need the answers.
Well, and we suspect that Luthen is not going to make it, because we don't see... he's instrumental in the formations of the rebellion, and we don't see him in Rogue One or any of the original trilogy. So we suspect that he dies. And how interesting would it be if he dies by the hands of Vader, or somebody like has the opportunity to kill Vader and Vader kills him? I don't think we're gonna get that. I'm not trying to hype anybody up. Let's keep expectations low, people. Let's keep them low. But it would be still pretty cool to see something interesting.
I mean, if we did get a Rogue One moment, though, I'm not gonna deny it. Like, yeah, like I want another Rogue One moment. I'll be fine with it.
certainly not going to complain if we hit some other Rogue One moment, but I think we need to let Andor, and I think that's kind of, what I was saying at the beginning is let's let Andor do the job that Andor is supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony Gilroy even says it somewhere. I'm trying to find it in this trailer now. But it's basically like the show is all of these rebel factions coming together and before Rogue One, and that's what this show is supposed to do, is how do all of these different factions of rebel groups who have perhaps different ideologies and ways to, approach a rebellion against an empire, how do they all kind of come together in an organized way to actually defeat the empire as we see in the original trilogy. So that is the main goal of the show. It's not to bring in a bunch of cameos and make fans scream and go crazy. So at least that's my take on it, is that's not what we're probably going to get with this show. So to temper expectations. Trying to think if there's anything else in the special look that we really needed to cover. I mean, you get Krennic. You get what looks like Andor stealing a TIE interceptor of some form. Let's see. We talked about it before, but we're almost certainly going to see Mon Mothma probably in the Senate chamber publicly denounce Palpatine to essentially call him out for the atrocities of the Gorman massacre. And we will see, I think at some point in this trailer, you actually see Cassian. And yeah, it's at around 1 minute and 22 seconds, 23 seconds. You see Cassian and Mon Mothma running, it looks like, down the steps. And it looks like there's actually even a body on that platform. And so I think he's helping Mon Mothma escape, and she will escape from Coruscant and start to really get into the rebellion at that point. So that will be interesting.
And then we also, on just the funny moment out of the whole thing, we get what's the droid's name? The big, at the end, he punches
K2SO.
that officer. Yeah, K2SO. We get him just smacking the heck out of an officer.
Yeah, that's good.
Love it.
That's good. Well, and someone, I believe it was Star Wars Meg, who I first heard this from. If you go to 36, is it 36? Yeah, 36 seconds. You'll see two. I don't know what species that is, but it's I think they're nicknamed tubes. I believe they're brothers, if I understand correctly. But this planet, you'll see the mountains in the background with what looks like to be an X-wing, and then those two guys there. I don't know if you're at 36 seconds, but this is actually the planet that the Resistance base is on in Episode 7, supposedly. So there's connections into the sequel trilogy already as well. Maybe they had already established a base there as part of the rebellion, and the Resistance uses it later on in the sequel trilogy. So that's kind of cool that they're tying that in as well. So cool, fun stuff. I am excited for Andor Season 2. I think that we all should be excited for it if you know what to expect and what you're getting. Once again, this show is all about the politics of the rebellion and how the rebellion takes place and all of it leading up to that, and kind of how a rebellion gets started. Now, for us being political junkies, Journeyman, I feel like this is a show you would expect that would be right up our alley. And in terms of it being a kind of a political thriller. So perhaps if we approach it that way, it will lend new perspective and we will appreciate it more. So,
yeah, I mean, as I think we've made jokes about it just because we have referenced real world stuff to Star Wars. So like, it's not far fetched to make that jump again, but it's just takes a little bit of time to get there, especially
Yeah.
with this show for me. But
Well, and it really is it's the little guys versus the big guy. And, George always, I can't remember exactly what he would say, but, he would always talk about how he likes to just jump right into the middle of the story. And you kind of take for granted, what did they do up to that point? And, I think a good example of that is Mon Mothma saying we lost. I can't. People are going to think I'm not a real Star Wars fan because I can't ever remember the names and species of things. But
yeah,
I'm a casual fan. I'm more of a casual fan. Just like to talk about Star Wars when I can. But she talks about how a certain species or culture lost their lives to get us this information or something like that. Is that in Rogue One? Is that A New Hope, or is that Return of the Jedi? Let's see. Does Mon Mothma say lost their lives to get us this information? I gotta look it up.
Travis said many banthas died.
It's Return of the Jedi. Oh, many Bothans. Thank you, Travis.
Bothans.
Many Bothans died to bring us this information. Okay, so that's even Return of the Jedi. So doesn't really help my point, but it does still, I guess, to an extent. It's like we don't really know what goes. Like if you're just watching A New Hope for the first time, you don't actually really know what went on to get to that point.
Right.
And so, what does it take to start a rebellion? And I think what's really great about this show, not to bring in, I'm going to kind of keep it high level, broad to when I relate this to real world events, but the kind of the politics we're seeing played out right now in the real world is like a big game of chess. It's just like, once again, keep it pretty broad because I don't want to get too into detail, but it's like a big game of chess, and you're looking at a board, and if I do this and they do this, and it's like you're really having to think about your opponent and your enemies, your allies, and really figure out how to move the pieces to get something to happen, essentially.
Yeah.
Or done. And I really think that that's, what we're going to see in Andor season 2. We've already seen it in Andor season 1 with, Mon Mothma marrying off her child to get the funding. And I think she even sells out her husband, and the heist that we talked about with Luthen of like he having ulterior motives of not only was it to get funding to support the rebellion, but he wants to make a scene of it. Like there's a lot of ulterior motives going in, and I think we're only going to ramp that up in season 2. Yeah. So Travis is saying, how'd you do it? Start a rebellion with nothing, and we had each other. That's how we won. Like there's a lot more involved in what we see in the original trilogy, and just in the same way that some of these other projects help build on what is already there, I think you really just have to see Andor as and Star Wars Rebels too. It kind of helps shed light on what had to happen to get us to the original trilogy and this more organized rebellion that was actually able to take down an empire. So,
well, and it just shows like even with Mon Mothma like essentially selling off her kid to be married, right?
mm-hmm.
Like, what are you, good or bad? Like, what are you willing to risk?
What are you willing to do? Yeah,
like for the rebellion, for the cause, for something bigger than yourself. Like, you may not like the arrangement that it was, but how badly do you want the desired outcome that you are trying to achieve?
Yeah. Well, and it's some pretty shady stuff too, right? It's not always it's not hunky dory. Like she is specifically is giving up everything to start this rebellion. And it's really cool that we get to see her, that same actress, play Mon Mothma in the Ahsoka series, and kind of the new like the New Republic. It's cool that is taking place. So fun stuff. Well, if we don't have anything else to talk about Andor season 2, I was also going to bring up that so as we know, Star Wars Celebration is coming up in a little over a month now, and we have the first look at some of the panels are going to be for Star Wars Celebration. Have you seen this yet?
Ooh, nope.
Okay, so we'll jump right in. I will say there's kind of some mixed reviews or mixed opinions about what these panels are. I mean, I'm excited for them, but a lot of people are kind of like, that's it. This is all we're getting. So some of the major panels, just to jump right into it. So beginning on Friday, April 18th, we're going to get a Mandalorian and Grogu panel. So I think in that panel, we can expect to see a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. We already, people who were at D23 in 2024 already got to see footage from that trailer where we got to we know for sure we're getting Zeb Aurelios, and people saw our I think it's in the trailer, the Mandalorian taking on an AT-AT on a planet that looks like Hoth. So we already know that there's a trailer out there ready to go for this thing. It just has never been released. So I think we can expect to see on April 18th, Journeyman, our very, very first public look at the Mandalorian and Grogu. And
that's exciting.
It is exciting, but I certainly hope that they give us some things to talk about, because right now, I'm just speaking objectively, the conversations are mixed on what is happening with the Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm excited for the movie. I'm excited, but a lot of people are not getting excited with the fact that as of right now, it would seem that we're going to be getting a film all about Jabba the Hutt's son, Rada, and a bounty hunter from the Clone Wars named Enzo. So I certainly hope they give us some more in a trailer that can get people excited and talking, because we really need this movie to be successful. And it would be great for them to show something that people could talk about for over a year, because this doesn't come out until May of 2026. So,
although Star Wars, I will say, with the supposed, like, what the movie is about, Dave and Star Wars are like really good at giving us front end stuff and not back end stuff. So if that's how the movie starts out, fine. But if that's the whole movie and it doesn't move on to something else, I'm going to be a little bit mad about it. I'll still be excited. I'll still go watch it. But I think that's where I have the trouble. Like, I feel like if it's in like the first 10 minutes and we get it over and done with, that's great. That's fine. I'm good with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's the whole movie, I'm kind of going to question it. And I will be questioning it.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for it. I mean, the fact that we're getting a panel for it tells me that we are actually going to get the trailer. And that's a few days before Andor season 2.
Correct. Yeah, which is a perfect segue into the next panel, which is Andor, a Star Wars story taking place on Saturday, April 19th. So, basically, like you said, season 2 is going to follow this just a couple of days later. And so, people are suspecting that maybe those in attendance at either the panel or at Star Wars Celebration may get their first look of the show there. They did something similar with Kenobi in 2023, where people who attended Star Wars Celebration actually got to see Kenobi early. So maybe they'll get to watch it. Also, maybe they release an additional trailer for that can get everybody kind of excited. It'd be really cool if they release something. Once again, just speculating, but you hear the Emperor's laugh or Vader's breathing, just to get people really excited for the show to come out in a couple of days. but that's the next panel on Saturday, April 19th. The one I'm probably honestly most excited for also takes place on Saturday, April 19th, and that would be the Ahsoka panel. So Ahsoka is getting their own panel. The series is getting their own panel, which I think is fantastic. I mean, I think you're probably going to get Hayden. Maybe, we've heard rumors that Ewan McGregor is going to be playing Obi-Wan Kenobi in the series. Maybe we get our first look. I mean, I think they start filming in April, so maybe they'll get enough stuff filmed where they can give us a little mini trailer or kind of a teaser of some sort. We don't expect this to come out until sometime in 2026, so it'd be pretty early to give us a trailer, I think, but it doesn't mean that it's not impossible. So we could get our very, very first look, or maybe some concept art or storyboards of Ahsoka season 2. That is probably what I'm going to be most excited for. Hold your thoughts real quick, because I'm just going to quickly say that the next panel is going to be Visions Volume 3, which is Sunday, April 20th, and I don't have anything to say about that. Not that I'm not excited, but I kind of could care less. So back to Ahsoka. What are your thoughts on all these panels?
Hold your thought, please. And we're moving right along. Ahsoka, I am so excited for that. My thoughts are, let's get this thing filming. Like, let's move it along. Like, let's get it here, because that's my favorite project as of right now. Like, I'm ready to continue that story, ready to see Hayden back as Anakin once again from season 1. So that's what Star Wars is about. Like, I'm sorry, it's Hayden, it's Vader. Like, it's supposed to be Anakin's story, right? And that's been the foundation of it. Once again, Andor is fun and cool and interesting as well, and like gets into the intricate details of it, but just to have another project where it's the main characters of Star Wars that we all know and love, I think just really gets me excited for the next thing. Yeah, certainly. And it will be really cool to see, obviously, bringing Hayden back in. Ahsoka really gets at the mythology of Star Wars. We've talked about this a lot. But for me personally, I get most excited kind of with the mythology of Star Wars. Although I'm hoping to turn a new leaf with Andor season 2, so we'll see how all that progresses. And maybe I'll find a new love and passion for Andor season 2. But I'm certainly excited for Ahsoka to bring back that mythology, knowing also that we eventually believe that all of these characters are going to be appearing on the big screen in some big Avengers-style culmination. Maybe, just maybe, we will get to see Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka and Hayden Christensen as Anakin on the big screen. So, yeah, Travis says it kind of perfectly. I hope we get kind of a memorial for Ray Stevenson, kind of a moment of silence there. But the guy Rory, that's what I was about to say. Like, I'm kind of excited to see him, see what he thinks about Star Wars, what he thinks about the project, what are his thoughts, even though he is promoting the thing, so he's going to hype it up a little bit. But, like, I'm excited to see what his thoughts are on Star Wars and why he kind of, like, chose to take this role and, all that. I think that's, and more importantly, just kind of see him as a person and kind of start to picture him as Balin now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Travis raises a good point too. I've seen this out there too, but what if they announced Tamara Morrison as a casting for Rex in season 2? That would be fantastic.
That's the other thing. I don't think we've ever mentioned that for season 1, but that was kind of a letdown, not seeing his Tamara Morrison as Rex in season 1. There's an opportunity there, and you just kind of passed on it. I think hopefully he has a bigger role for this show, not just using his voice, but like kind of helping Ahsoka along. I think that'd be kind of interesting.
Did they use his voice for Rex in season 1? I mean, we see Rex in the flashbacks.
Yeah,
But that was Tamira Morrison's voice, right? I don't know. I can't remember.
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's AI or
Could
not,
be
but
AI.
it sounds
Probably not.
it sounds like his voice. But I mean, why would you not?
Yeah,
That's what
just
I would
bring him
ask.
in. Bring him in. Yeah,
But
Travis
I
said
know
it's Rex's
it's
voice.
yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So I mean, it would be really cool.
I think Rex and Ahsoka have been through so much, especially with Rebels. Actually, speaking of that, what happens with Rex at the end of Rebels? Did we ever? Where is he at?
We just hear that he fought in the Battle of Endor with Hera.
Okay. I think Kara needs to go get Rex, and somehow they need to meet up and kind of have that Clone War or Rebels. When we see Rex and Ahsoka meet up in Rebels, I feel like we need to get another reunion like that because they've been through so much over those years, and to kind of have them reunite again
Would be cool.
Would be so cool. And as live action, Tamara Morrison giving Rosario Dawson a hug, just brings a tear to your eye.
Yeah, well, actually, once again, you're killing the segues tonight. I'm gonna jump back to Hera in just a second, but Travis raises a good point here. It says for a while, with de-aging and deep faking dead actors, the idea of recasting was extinct. Now we're showing that it's okay again, and people are accepting it. I'm ready for them to recast Luke Skywalker. That way we can start getting more of him in live action. I think the deep faking that was done in the Book of Boba Fett, it particularly was fantastic. In particular was fantastic, but I don't think that's a long-term sustainable solution. Probably at least right now, it probably costs a ton of money to do that. Just recast him. Let's just do it. Let's just get it over with and make him really, really cool so that nobody can complain about it. And let's just do that. So we'll see. I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, to be fair, we should have got a Luke Skywalker probably show or something long time ago when he was still able to do it. But
yeah, well, I mean, but Mark Hamill, I mean, he's
no, I get it. Like, yeah, I mean, like the technology wasn't there at the time, but I felt like we should have got something else other than just the originals. Like,
yeah,
I want to see more. I just want to see more Luke Skywalker's story. It's still so interesting to me what happens between him and Ben, like their connections over the years, and then the final turn at the end for the sequels. Like, I still want to see that.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get to it. And maybe we get an animated series announcement at Star Wars Celebration, Luke Jedi Academy, which we've all been pushing for. So let's see it. Let's see it. Star Wars Order says, sorry, I'm playing pickleball. Did I miss him? You did, in fact, miss him. Here he is right here. He's still here, though, I think. Travis says, I think once the New Republic learns Ahsoka is gone, we're going to see people close to her propose a mission to rescue her. The idea, Zeb, Rex, and all the other characters we haven't seen banding together. Yeah, certainly. That could be really cool. Like, let's go get our friends. And that could be how they come back. So
it would be kind of Rebels-esque to have them steal that big ship thing and go back for them that they went there to go get Thrawn. Like, disguise them in the clone armor and all that, or the stormtrooper armor and all that, and just do the Rebels thing. I would love that. That'd be so much fun.
Tell him for me. I think he's here, Star Wars. You can tell him yourself. He just put a comment a minute ago, so you can tell him. Travis, there he is. Tell him now. He's still here. Leia gives them to rescue them. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be a cool way to tie in that as well. Star Wars Order, or Travis, Star Wars Order is wants to tell you something. So look out in the comments section for that. Okay, I keep having a good segue into my next topic here. I'll pull back up this comment. So in regards to Hera and Ahsoka's friends and the Rebels crew, there's a new podcast coming out. Did you hear about this?
Mm-mm.
I think this is actually, I think this is something I'm actually going to tune into. So it's called Pod of the Rebellion. It's a Star Wars podcast. Okay. It's called Pod of Rebellion, I think is what it's called. It's an upcoming Star Wars Rebels rewatch podcast set to premiere on March 11, 2025. The podcast is hosted by original cast members Vanessa Marshall, voice of Hera Syndulla, Tia Sircar, who voices Sabine Wren, and Taylor Gray, who voices Ezra Bridger, and moderated by John Lee Brody. And then it says in each episode, the host will rewatch and break down episodes of Star Wars Rebels, providing insights and discussions about the series. They will also feature guests from various facets of Star Wars universe and fandom. That sounds really awesome, in my opinion.
So they kind of little side tangent here on the exact same thing you're talking about. So NCIS, they're making a Tony and Ziva show, and they're doing the exact same thing, doing what you're talking about, but with Star Wars episodes. Like, they're going back and they're watching and they're having a podcast, and it is so fun listening to them, listening to their insights on like what was kind of the behind the scenes, all the jokes and insights and everything. It's so much fun, and I think it's a smart idea for them to do that, because people will listen, people will tune in, and people want that insight. Like, there's only so much you can give in like the teaser trailers or like behind the scenes that they've done over the years of like when they were actually filming for the show. But I feel like you could give us a lot more if you sat down with the audience and kind of watch the episode with them, or talk about the episode, and you can kind of have that going on in the background of your mind when you're watching those episodes that they're talking about. Like, you can picture that happening. I feel like what a wonderful job that's going to be. Like, I'm going to tune into that.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like that's something you would actually, I know you're not like a huge podcast fan. I'm sure it'll be a video podcast as well, but it's Pod of Rebellion coming out on March 11th. Hosted by all of the voice actors who had a part in that project. I think that, can you imagine the World Between Worlds and those Mandalorian arcs?
Gosh.
When we get to that, I don't know if it's going to be like a one episode at a time type thing, but it also gives a really good reason to go rewatch Star Wars Rebels as well. So,
does it say? It might not be chronological, but like, does it say where they're starting their rewatch, or it just says we're just going to basically kind of rewatch some episodes that we've done?
Honestly, I was trying to find like information on it, and I was having like, at least the articles that were pulling up when I Googled it were not like mainstream articles, I would say, by any means. So it's a legit thing. Like, I've heard about it, but I'm not finding like a ton of information about it. So I hope that they can kind of get it out there, market it so that people will tune in. I think I don't even remember where I heard about it. Maybe it was just something I saw on X or something, but I was like, that sounds like something I'm actually going to tune into and listen to, because that would be, I hope that they're kind of short. Like, I don't know what the NCIS is, but I would hope that these are probably like 10, 20-minute episodes, so you can just kind of get some quick thoughts and some cool insights and kind of move on, and not be like a Joe Rogan dealy dad where you're listening for 3 hours.
I'm trying to look it up right now for.
Travis says this is a new trend. They did it with The Office and other shows. It generally goes episode by episode. Yeah, that would be really cool. I think they did it for the House of Dragon as well. I didn't listen to it.
So they're for the NCIS one, it's about an hour overall.
Ooh. Okay.
for each episode.
I
But
don't know, Travis. I mean, I think you're still. You're obviously still in the trap. But do you think that they'll do this episode by episode, or maybe more so like by arc? I guess I don't know.
probably, I mean, in the NCIS one, they weren't just talking about the show; they were talking about the people that were on there, like how did they get there, all that, like kind of what we did with Travis on ours, like kind of getting into the behind the background of the people that they're bringing on as well. But they do talk about the episode, but that's not like the only thing that they talk about.
Okay.
They do kind of get into personal, on the personal side of things, like where they grew up, stuff like that.
Yeah. Tree says, I think arcs would make more sense given how busy some of the people are. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it does, based on what I was able to find, it says they'll bring on guests and things like that too, which will be pretty cool. I'm sure like Sam Witwer will come on because I know he voiced probably a few. He voiced Maul.
He voiced the son.
Oh, you could bring on Ashley and talk about the and maybe even Dave to talk about Twilight of the Apprentice episode. That would be really cool. You know, Dave Filoni's going to be involved, and can
I need to hear Dave's understanding of Twilight of the Apprentice, of like the fight happening, all that. Like I want to hear the behind the scenes of what were they thinking for that.
I'm sure there's interviews and stuff out there already too. But it'd be great to hear him, Ashley, and him come on to talk about that, and Sam Witwer, Maul, because you got so many cool Maul moments too. The Twilight of the Apprentice, but also with the Twin Sons, I think episode with him and where he dies at the hands of Ben Kenobi. So that'd be cool. The weird sloth thing Savage meets on the garbage bin. Yeah. That would be such a cool announcement too. If we get more maybe some casting announcements, like we could bring in Sam Witwer to play the son in Ahsoka season 2 to voice the son. That would be just really, really cool.
I would love it. It needs to happen.
You know, it'd be so wholesome too is to bring in Ashley Eckstein. I don't know who voices the daughter in the original Clone Wars series, but to just kind of maybe do like a recast of sorts and bring in Ashley Eckstein to come voice the daughter, and that would be kind of a neat connection though, because the daughter kind of is Ahsoka. There would be some out of universe connections there. It'd be kind of fun. So
yeah.
That would be cool. Well, I think we've rambled enough. We're over an hour at this point. I had a lot of fun. You're super excited for Andor season 2. So if you want our thoughts on that, make sure you go back to the beginning of the video. We're just about a little over a month away from Andor season 2. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. And not only that, before we get Andor season 2, we'll have Star Wars Celebration, where we'll probably get some of the announcements that we talked about tonight. So I think that's pretty much it. I enjoyed this. Journeyman, we'll be back next week to discuss whatever Star Wars news comes out at that time. Also, if you haven't already and you've made it to the end of this video, go check out the recent podcast episode with our very own Travis Mitchell, who is a just wonderful contributor of the channel. And stay tuned, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, where we should have our next podcast episode. We'll be filming that in the coming days. And I think everyone will really, really enjoy this one. I'm super excited to get to talk to this guest. So stay tuned for that. That will drop on probably next Saturday. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that like button, drop a comment, all the things. May the Force be with you always.